All right, Alec Lace live here in Duluth, Georgia with Peter Navarro. Listen, I got to ask you this, is because the other day Kamala Harris says that Trump is going to lock up his political opponents. She makes that threat against President Trump. Meanwhile, you got out of prison. Steve Bannon's still in prison, and we have a mugshot of President Donald Trump. So what was your take on that?
Yeah, well, they have thoroughly weaponized our government. I went to prison with the help of all three branches of the government and all Democrats. So when I was on the stage of the Republican National Convention, I said, I went to prison so you won't have to. What I meant by that is, hey, just look at me, folks, okay? If they can put a guy in prison for defending the Constitution, they can come for you. And the only person standing between that is Donald Trump. So get on the Trump train. Needs you to get to the polls early, and needs you to get at least 10 other people to the polls. And I can't imagine Kamala Harris's America for 4 years. We'll be dead by the time that one's over.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Well, we're here now. They got a great turnout here. It's unbelievable, the turnout for this rally here in Detroit. I mean, in Georgia here. Almost said Detroit, right? I'm thinking about the M&M.
You said Detroit.
Yeah, so they got a big turnout here in Georgia for Donald Trump. It's obviously a state we got to carry.
Yes.
What's your gut feeling telling you right now? Is Donald Trump going to take this thing in November 5th?
You don't even think like that. All you do now is execute the mission. The mission is getting people to the polls to support Trump, and that's all I'm focused on.
Yeah, same here. And then, a lot of times, a lot of people here, they're excited to see Donald Trump, but also you have Tulsi Gabbard, you have RFK Jr. What does it mean to have that kind of support for Donald Trump? Those two names right there.
Well, it's important because a lot of the undecideds, the few that are left, are independents, and they speak clearly to the independents. So, although Tulsi last night, I was in Greensboro with the boss, and she got on stage, and she is now a Republican.
Yeah, just as of yesterday.
Yeah.
And last thing I want to ask you here, Peter, is a lot of people, myself included, are still worried about the 3 o'clock in the morning ballot dumps coming in for someone like Kamala Harris here. We're all kind of still. I just had Jim Jordan on the other day. I had Michael Whatley, the GOP chair. They seem confident that we're not going to see the steal this year. What's your take?
Well, TrumpForce47.com. Go there and volunteer. We got an army of precinct watchers and things like that. We just need to do our job, okay? Otherwise, they will steal it.
Last thing, you're speaking here today before President Trump. What's your message to the people here in Duluth?
Vote. All right, man.
That's about all we can do. Vote. Fight, fight, fight. Vote, vote, vote. Thank you, Peter Navarro.
You're listening to the Alec Lace Show. The future is family.
All right, Alec Lace Show live here in Duluth, Georgia. We got Brick Suit for the Trump rally. Good to see you. How's the vibe here? How's it feeling?
Vibe is great. I'm going to tell you, there are so many people outside. People in the general admission line I talked to were here. Some were here last night. A lot of people arriving like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. this morning. They are pumped to see President Trump, and they know that a Turning Point Action event is like levels above a normal Trump rally. I mean, a normal Trump rally is awesome, but this is going to be like with like almost like with nitrous oxide, like a drag car. It's gonna be like all those movies with Fast and Furious where they hit the button and it just zoom. That's what this rally is gonna be like.
I'll tell you, it's amazing what Turning Point does. And I was at the Butler rally, Trump's return there, and the vibe there was incredible. So it's kind of, I'm only here for a little while, but so far the energy level seems kind of like to match that in a lot of ways. And it's just, you've been at so many of these, so how does this compare, especially this 2024 run, compared to the 2020 and the 2016 run in your eye?
Well, I wasn't around for the 2016 run, so I can't say anything about it. I didn't start following President Trump till after he was elected. It's different than 2020 when he was the incumbent, so there's a vast difference there. But the Butler rally too, I feel that, but there was more of a reverence for Corey at that, and also honoring the other individuals who were injured. And, I thought it was the right balance of tone there to honor them, but also move forward. And
what was that day like for you, if you don't mind? Because you were right there front and center, 20 feet from Trump when he got shot. So, what was it like for you yourself? That had to be a crazy experience for you just to be right back in that same spot.
Yeah. What helped is that I had a week to be ready for it. And if it was just like plopped me down in there, that would have been difficult. But because I knew that, it was coming up, I was, it didn't really catch me by surprise. And I knew it was going to be a safe rally. And, what I was saying there, though, is that rally is kind of a standalone. I'm not going to compare that rally to anything else. It's its own event. So no other rally is going to be like that, and I'm not going to try and stack any other rally up against that. So that being said, this I think is going to be one of the one they had in Glendale was fantastic. Okay, when RFK Jr. came out, that was another Turning Point Action event. I think this is going to be on par with that, and so, and I don't know what's going to happen in Madison Square Garden. That's going to be off the chain crazy. So easily this is going to be top 3 of this campaign.
Yeah, I'm going to be there for that one as well. And, I wanted to say, when back to the Butler rally, when Elon Musk came on the stage, the place just went berserk when he showed up there. It was unbelievable. Right. So now with this one, you have RFK Jr. is going to be here. You got Tulsi Gabbard that's going to be here.
Right.
And those two, that's a huge boost for President Trump. Tulsi Gabbard now just yesterday joined the Republican Party.
I didn't know RFK Jr. was going to be here. I have a Maha hat. I could have brought it in. I didn't bring my Maha hat in. Make America healthy again. I had it, but I didn't know he was going to be here. I should have thought of that.
Well, what do you think? Trump pulls you up on stage for
No.
what?
No.
Well,
I don't think that's going to happen again. I think it's amazing that he'll single me out and call me Mr. Wall. He sees right through that was funny. He sees right through the brick suit, and jumps to the metaphor that it is. I come up with brick suit on my socials because, it's not as controversial. It's a brick suit, right? He goes right for what it is, Mr. Wall. He knows exactly what it is. So, I think that's cool. It's always neat when he does that.
Well, you become a staple at all these rallies, man. You really have. So it's awesome to always see you. You're always front and center. Give me your last take here. We've only got 13 days to go until the biggest election of our lifetime. In your gut, do we take it?
I believe we do, if we don't give up. Okay, this is a classic case of sprinting through the finish line. We're not going to come up to the tape and come up short. You're going to get everybody out there to vote. You're going to ignore all the polls. You're going to ignore all that stuff. You're going to ignore people who say your vote doesn't matter. You're going to ignore people who say voting early just gives the Democrats the information they need to rig the election. You're going to ignore the fact that Arizona's ballot counting is just a disaster in Maricopa County, and they're not going to be ready for 7 days. And you're going to go out and you're going to vote anyways. You're going to cast your vote. And that's what we've got to do. This is like no rest, all gas, no brakes, no giving up, and it'll be a huge victory. But that's what we need to do. The only way it doesn't happen is if we give up on ourselves and our country. And I know that's not going to happen. And I've talked to people who are 95 years old, on chemotherapy, who have already gone out and voted. None of us have any excuses not to vote. I flew back to California to vote. So I'm here on the campaign trail. I'm going to go to as many rounds as I can, hoping to get to one each day. Made a special hat. Vote early. That's what we got to do.
Yeah, the Democrats have the hat, vote often. So Listen, fight, vote.
Vote.
Brick wall, Mr. Wall, brick suit. It's always an honor to see you here at these rallies. Thanks for taking a few minutes of time on the Alec Lace Show.
All right, and you know what? It's not just vote early. It's make your plan. Voting early is one possibility. Voting absentee is another. Voting in person on day of is the third. But if you do that, you've got to be 100% rock solid sure that you're going to vote. You're taking the day off. It's not 2 hours on the way to work, 2 hours on the way home. You got to cast your ballot.
And bring a friend.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
Take care.
All right, Alec Lace live here in Duluth, Georgia with Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. My time is quick here, so I got a couple things I want to hit you on. Donald Trump was almost killed at a rally similar to this one. You just had Kamala Harris comparing Donald Trump to Hitler. You had Joe Biden threatening we should lock him up. So what's your take on that kind of rhetoric?
I'm glad you brought that up. I watched that video on the way here today to the rally where I heard Kamala Harris literally compare President Trump to Hitler, calling him a fascist. Kamala Harris is desperate. She's afraid. She knows her campaign is trouble, but she is trying to get Donald Trump killed. And you can't help but to recognize that when she speaks that way. And I think it's extremely serious, and she should be held accountable for those words. Well
said. After 2 attempts, you think that would be enough to quiet it down. Last thing I want to hit you with here to follow up. I just recently spoke to your colleague, Jim Jordan. I spoke to Michael Whatley, the GOP chairman. They seem to be confident right now that we're going to be able to have a secure election with full integrity. How's your faith right now? Are we going to see a 3 a.m. dump in the middle of the night? How do you feel about this going into November 5th so close?
Well, President Trump has the momentum, and I believe that he will win as long as the elections are fair and as long as we have election integrity. I'm not calling anything until I actually see it happen.
Yeah, well said. Is Georgia going to go red or what?
Georgia looks like it's going solid red for President Trump, and I love to see it.
God bless you. Thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time. Thank you.
You're listening to the Alec Lace Show. The future is family.
All right, live here, Brian. Here we go again.
Here we go, man.
Listen, you've done so many of these. How's the energy of this rally compared to the others?
You know, every rally never disappoints me at this point in the game. We're weeks away from the election, and it seems like you would think that after doing hundreds of rallies of President Trump and the movement, that at the very end it might lose a little steam, but I think it's actually getting bigger every time he does one.
Yeah, same here. Now, just the other day now, President Joe Biden said that Trump should be locked up, right? Now, this comes on the heels of Kamala Harris saying this is what Trump wants to do to other people. So now it seems to be a lot of bit of this back and forth between the Biden camp and the Kamala camp. What do you think is really going on there?
Yeah, let me tell you something. There's some cracks in the foundation there at the Democratic Party. I think Joe Biden is still a little bitter that he got pushed out and Kamala's in there. Kamala is. I think she's tanking as well. I think the press has coddled her long enough, and now she's forced to do interviews. She's forced to talk about issues, and the people sitting at home that are still trying to decide who to vote for. It seems crystal clear now that only one candidate is actually putting out policies and the other one's just putting out excuses.
Brian, are we going to fall into the trap here? Because it seems like the betting markets are huge for Trump. It seems like the polls are all for Trump. We saw that happen with Hillary. I mean, not as big as Hillary, but there seem to be leaning that way. Are we falling into a trap for a letdown? Is this like you got to get out there and vote? Because what's your take on that?
I'm with you on that. I'm trying not to get my hopes too high because I know that we got to make it too big to rig. We know what happened in 2020. But I'm optimistic because I see the crowds. I see the polling, even though sometimes I don't put a lot of merit in polling, but it is fairly strong this late in the game. Now, look at the sizes of these events. I mean, Kamala Harris may do an event, pull a couple thousand people. That's great. But President Trump does it 2 or 3 times a day, back to back to back to back to back. The excitement is, I think, at a level we've never seen before.
Last take, Brian. Just yesterday, we had Tulsi Gabbard come out and say, hey, I'm switching to the Republican Party. She's thrown her full endorsement behind Trump. We have RFK Jr. here today as well. How big is that for Donald Trump?
I think it's huge. I think she represents a big part of our country that really hasn't been. There's a lot of moderate Democrats that don't believe in the agenda now, and they want to come over and vote Republican. And I think she's a great kind of a poster person, a point person for that rather, that can say, look, this is what I did, join me. And I think that these Republican policies are better than what I had on the Democrat side. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, well said. Keep crushing it. I'll see you around the rally here today.
You're
Thanks for a few
great.
minutes.
I love you. Thank you.
You're listening to the Alec Lace Show. The future is family.
Benny, what's going on?
What's up? Hey. Hey, man.
Give a word for the dads out there.
Yo, what's up? So, without dads, there is no America, right? Every great American had a dad. Every great American had a mother.
Well, when Tucker Carlson said, Dad's coming home, this place just absolutely erupted.
That's
Did you hear
right. Daddy's coming home. That's exactly right.
You crushed it up there today, man. Great job. Man. Yeah, this is great.
This is how you, listen, we talked about this at Butler. This is how you save America. Masculine fatherhood, feminine, beautiful motherhood, and telling people that we can outbreed the libs because the libs are cutting their dicks off.
Yeah.
And Tim Walz is loading a shotgun in his crotch. And so it's never been easier. We just have 1 million kids, and then we win.
The future is family, Benny.
That's right, my man. He knows it.
You're listening to the Alec Lace Show. The future is family.